Good evening and welcome to Breaking Today News right here on Switch TV. I am Lincoln Wambugwa. Our sign language interpreter is Tracy Dorcas. We have a lot in line for you tonight, but first, the headlines.
The parliamentary fraternity will forever remember the late Honorable Oyoka for his humility, friendliness, and belief in collegiality during his time as a member of this House.
The National Assembly leads the nation in mourning Bonchari Member of Parliament John Oyoka and Garissa Senator Muhammad Yusuf Haji, who passed on yesterday.
Who we want to put forward to serve our people.
A Mani National Party, Wiper Party and Kanu pitch camp in Kabuchai constituency to drum up support for Fort Kenya's party's candidate in the forthcoming by-election.
There is new variants of the Covid-19 that are also developing.
Health Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe calls on border counties to up their game in keeping a high level of surveillance in preventing the new wave of Covid-19. UEFA Champions League is back. Will Barcelona humble Paris Saint-Germain again? You can now watch your favorite programs on the following platforms: Signet Zuku Channel 53 or Azam Channel 338. You can also catch our episodes on our website www.switchtv, Switch TV News on our YouTube channel, or download the Switch TV app on Google Play Store or the App Store. And these are the top stories. Health Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe has called on the border counties to top up their game in keeping a high level of surveillance in preventing the new wave of Covid-19. Kagwe has urged the county governments to be vigilant in keeping the disease at bay, as already there is a new variant of Covid-19 reported in various countries abroad. Joel Chacha with more.
At the Narok Referral Hospital in the company of Foreign Affairs Cabinet Secretary Rachel Omamo and his energy counterpart Charles Keter, Health Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe has called on border counties to up their game in keeping a high level of surveillance in preventing the new wave of COVID-19 from entering the country.
We have to be very careful moving forward. We have to be very, very careful because, as you know, Narok is a border county.
Kagwe further urged the county governments to be very vigilant in keeping the disease at bay, as already there is a new variant of COVID-19 that has been announced by the international and national media.
There is new variants of the Covid-19 that are also developing, and we want to be sure that we are keeping a high level of vigilance and surveillance so that we can prevent outbreaks of new variants in the country. And the first stop is here in the border counties.
CS Omamo lauded women in the county for being in the front line in the health sector, saying most of the nurses and clinical officers battling the pandemic are women.
The backbone of the health sector in this country, the backbone of this country are our women. And I want us to continue to appreciate them. And I want to say thank you and that we honor you, especially during this time that you have fought against COVID-19.
On the other hand, CS Keter said his department is working towards ensuring a constant supply of electricity in the hospital after installation of a new Olkaria Narok line.
Once that is done, hopefully in the next few months, we should have that steady power supply.
Kenyans have been urged to not let down the guard in the fight against COVID-19. Joel Chacha, Switch TV, Nairobi.
Thank you, Joel Chacha. With fears packed over Health Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe's remarks calling on border counties to be alert over the spread of a new COVID wave, our reporter Harriet Chimea tells us more on the new variant.
At about the same time, the first vaccines against COVID-19 were being approved in 2020, United Kingdom announced the discovery of a new strain of the virus. A few days later, the discovery of another variant of the coronavirus was announced in South Africa, which at the time was recording more than 15,000 cases of COVID-19 infections daily, the highest number in Africa. All three variants detected in the UK, South Africa and Brazil have undergone changes to their spike protein. This is part of the virus that attaches to human cells and makes it better at infecting cells and spreading. In South Africa, a discovered variant named E484K is thought to help the virus evade parts of the immune system and antibodies. Another variant in the same country, named B1351, has since become South Africa's dominant coronavirus strain. In Kenya, scientists at the Kenya Medical Research Institute, KEMRI, have also warned of a new distinct variant of the coronavirus. Yet skepticism still runs in African countries. For Kenyans, they remain adamant in taking the vaccines upon arrival.
I'm going to take it if it is going to be made mandatory. If it is optional, I will not go for it. If it's tested and proven that, yes, it is going to work for Kenyans and it is made mandatory, I'm going to take it. But if it is going to be optional, I won't go for it.
Kwa maoni yangu mimi sitapokea hiyo jajo sababu badala ya kupewa hii jajo kwanza tungeambiwa venye itatukinga, na kabla ya kupewa hii jajo tungekuwa tumepewa tahadhari nyingi kabla ya kupokea hii jajo. So mimi sioni kama nitatibiwa na hiyo jajo.
Mambo machache tu ambayo we have to consider before we take this chanjo. Ya kwanza ni cost. Tunajiuliza itakuwa free ama serikali itataka tulipe kitu.
Mimi kwangu sikubali. Labda ingie ianzie kwa wakubwa ndio kuja kwa wadogo. Tukiona wakubwa wakichanjiwa, wadogo tutakubali.
It is, however, too soon to say with certainty how adversely it affects the body, and there is no evidence that it actually causes death. According to the World Health Organization, these variants of concern, which are on the rise in 47 countries in Africa, may impact a person's immune response and need to be investigated further. The new variant raises questions. Is the coronavirus more contagious now? Will the vaccine still work? Are there new or different things you should now do to keep yourself safe? Harriet Chimea reporting for Switch TV.
Thank you, Harriet Chimea. Moving on, the National Assembly has led the nation in mourning Bonchari Member of Parliament John Oyoka and Garissa Senator Mohammed Haji, who passed on yesterday. Oyoka passed on after an illness yesterday night in Kisumu County. Nyakundi Calvin with his story.
John Oro Oyoka was elected to Parliament in 2013 under the People's Democratic Party after the High Court considered a petition he had filed against then-winner Zebedeo Opere.
The parliamentary fraternity will forever remember the late Honorable Oyoka for his humility, friendliness, and belief in collegiality during his time as a member of this House.
However, in 2017, Oyoka made a comeback and defeated Opere to claim the Bonchari constituency seat.
The two honorable members have left an indelible mark, yes, for the time they have served in this parliament.
Really, they were a group of elders who had the full support and respect of the former President Kibaki.
I was in Kanu together with the Honorable Oyoka himself, always quoting him on the day he was sworn. And I remember how disappointed he was with the National Assembly, because when he came here that particular date, he was given an opportunity to speak.
Both Haji and Oyoka have been remembered for setting very good examples through supporting education and thereby creating employment opportunities for the people of Kisii and Garissa.
I join you and the entire legislature that yesterday was a very sad day for Kenya and the legislature. In the morning at 5:30, we lost our father, our mentor, a man we respect all, Senator Haji. And in the evening, for those of us who attended both burials, we were again shocked to learn the death of our colleague, Honorable Oyoka.
He becomes the fifth politician to pass away in a span of 3 months after MPs James Lusweti of Kabuchai, Justus Murunga of Matungu, and Senators Boniface Kabaka of Machakos and Yusuf Haji of Garissa. Nyakundi Kelvin, Switch TV.
And may the legislators' souls rest in eternal peace. Thank you, Nyekundi Calvin, for that story. The Mani National Party, KANU and Wiper Party have camped in Kabuchai constituency in Bungoma County to drum up support for Ford Kenya's party's candidate in the forthcoming by-election led by Ford Kenya Party leader Moses Wetangula, ANC Party leader Musalia Mudavadi, KANU Party leader Gideon Moi and Kalonzo Musyoka, Wiper's party leader. The leaders have vowed to traverse the constituency to ensure Majimbo Kalasinga is elected unanimously on 4th of March.
The Ford Kenya Brigade, together with ANC leader Musalia Mudavadi, Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka and KANU party leader Gideon Moi, stormed Kabuchai to drum up support for Ford Kenya party in the upcoming by-election in the region. As they traversed through the constituency, the leaders urged the residents to support Majimbo Kalasinga for the parliamentary seat.
So as we move into Kabuchai, we want Kenyans to know that it is not about Ford Kenya. It's not about our single candidate, neither is Matunga about ANC or a single candidate, neither is Machakos about Wiper and a single candidate, but about the purposeful unity.
Tuko hapa kuonyesha kwamba kitu kimoja. Alafu tuonyeshe kwamba tunataka tudumishe umoja. Tunataka tuwe na Kenya moja.
Unity dominated in the campaigns as the leaders urged the residents not to allow people from outside to come and dominate the region's politics. In what seems to be a formation of a new alliance, the leaders hinted at working together post-Kabuchai campaigns and even planned to go and support the ANC leader in Matungu by elections.
Here today to campaign for our candidate, because now it belongs to all of us, and to ensure that he wins. But most importantly is to show our unity in purpose. And the formation is the formation in what you're seeing.
Nia yetu ni kukaa pamoja hadi kilele. Zote twajua Mheshimiwa Rais Uhuru Kenyatta ametangaza yeye ataenda nyumbani mwaka ujao. Lazima watu wajipange vilivyo.
This comes just days after the same brigade toured Machakos to rally for the Wiper candidate in the Machakos senatorial race that is hotly contested. In Kabuchai, supporters came out in large numbers to meet the leaders, who also drummed up support for the Building Bridges initiative.
Nafasi ya watu kuja kuweka miricha na kucheza karata katika eneo ya magharibi imekwisha.
Kabuchai by-election is set to be held on 4th of March. The team will shift base tomorrow by heading to Matungu to drum up support for Bita Oscar Nabulindo, the ANC party candidate in the election, also slated for 4th of March. Namkana Samuel, Switch TV, Nairobi.
With our story from Western Kenya by Namukani Samuel, we'll now take a short commercial break. Stay tuned, we'll be back with more. Welcome back and thank you for keeping it Switch TV. You can now watch your favorite programs on the following platforms: Signet Zuku Channel 53 or Azam Channel 338. You can also catch our episodes on our website www.switchtv.ke. Switch TV News on our YouTube channel, or download the Switch TV app on Google Play Store or the App Store. The Cabinet Secretary for Sports, Heritage and Culture, Amina Mohammed, has confirmed that the government has fulfilled 90% of the promises it made to its citizens. CS Amina was speaking when commissioning piping projects in Murang'a County with the aim to fulfill the Big Four agenda for the government. She added that it is time for change and the government has played a major role in the same.
Technology ndio hizo pia mnaziona pale, ndio zile. Sasa hiyo si mnaona kwa macho yenu wenyewe? Mnaziona. Mmesikia mwenzangu amesema ya kwamba mtakuwa na teknolojia hapa, wakijenga wanatengeneza pia zile mtaro za kuweka pipes, za kuleta teknolojia hapa. Kwa hivyo kusema kweli, serikali ya rais wetu Uhuru Kenyatta imefanya kazi nzuri.
Also, Maendeleo Chapter Party leader Dr. Alfred Mutua has today asked President Uhuru Kenyatta to clear the ambiguity around his statement on handing over power to a thief. Speaking while in Machakos, Dr. Mutua has urged the president to name the thieves he was referring to so as to guide Kenyans on who not to vote for. This comes against the backdrop of hate and antagonism between the president and his deputy on the 2022 succession debate.
Rais Uhuru Kenyatta alisema ya kwamba yeye hawezi achia mwizi serikali, na sisi tunakubaliana na yeye, lakini tunamuuliza huyo mwizi ni nani? Kwa hivyo Kenya, naomba tumuulize Uhuru Kenyatta, huyu mwizi kwani hauko unamjua? Huyo mwizi ni nani? Na kwa sababu lazima alikuwa na scorecard, na wewe Uhuru Kenyatta ni mwerevu, unamjua huyo mwizi, tuambie mwizi ni nani?
Away from politics, Norwegians, the saying goes, are born with skis on their feet. But with the lack of snow and the pandemic this year leaving many in despair, authorities are bringing snow and ski trails to downtown Oslo. For the past few weeks, big trucks have been dumping hundreds of cubic meters of fluffy white stuff made by snow cannons parked on the hills outside the capital in the city's still green parks.
Groomed with cross-country trails, the parks are transformed into winter wonderlands for skiing enthusiasts of all ages. 4 Oslo parks have been partially covered in artificial snow to quench locals' thirst for sledding and skiing.
Nå vi I en av de største parkene I Oslo.
We are now in one of the biggest parks in Oslo. Here we are going to lay some snow. Behind me here we are making a snowboard park. The reason we are doing this is because we want people to get out of their houses, use their local surroundings and be able to be active. Even though we are in the middle of a pandemic, the most important thing is to keep a distance.
With the first snowfall of the season in early January causing crowded commuter trains, long traffic queues amid the pandemic, climate change has now made winters in Norway shorter.
Yes, det går an å gå og stå på ski I marka.
It is possible to go skiing in the forest surrounding Oslo, but we have decided to take a small piece of the winter forest and bring it into the city. The reason we are doing this is because we don't want people to gather in big groups. We want people to spread out. The best way to do this is to encourage people to use their local areas with their families and kids. It also lowers the threshold for people to get out and be active. You don't have to travel. Just walk out the door and put on your skis.
According to Norway's Meteorological Institute, Oslo has over the past 30 years lost 21 winter days, defined as days where the temperature dips below 0 degrees Celsius. The institute has warned that the city could lose another 26 winter days by 2050.
Sånn som trafikkbildet I dag med mye.
The way the traffic is these days, with everyone working from home, we make about 8 to 10 trips per day per truck. A rough estimate will be that we do 30 to 40 deliveries of snow per day.
Norway opened its first indoor ski center in early 2020. It is, however, currently closed to general public because of virus restrictions. I went for my first ski trip earlier this year when the conditions got really good for the first time. But the tube going out of the city was packed with other skiers. After that, I started thinking about how to get out of the sky trails in the weekends without public transport. I even considered taking the bike.
Questions then rise, with Oslo fighting its battle against the thermometer. Is it really reasonable to transport tons of snow by truck? Arechimia reporting for Switch TV.
Here are the latest news making headlines from the world of business. Good evening, my name is Clifford Ndubi. Now, farmers are among the many Kenyans who are feeling the pain of the new high fuel prices ahead of the farming season that is set to commence next month. Trans Nzoia farmers have expressed their frustrations on the government's directive for a fuel hike. John Kutuni has filed this story.
Farmers in Kitale are not happy about a jump in the fuel prices in the oncoming farming season. Ambrosa farmers expressed his frustration, saying the government should have cautioned farmers against the effects of the rise in petroleum.
Mafuta tunaona serikali imetutesa sana kwa kupandisha bei, kwa maana unajua saizi vile iko ndugu yangu inahitajika kila kitu inategemea mafuta. Ukulima wakati ndio huu umefika, inafaa tupande mahindi. Kama vile unavyoona shamba zetu bado tujarudia kulima, trakta inahitaji mafuta. Sasa inakuwa very unfair kwa serikali kuongeza bei na zaidi ya shilingi 8. Ni kitu itatuadhiri sana kama wakulima. Na huku tukiangalia mwaka jana vile walituumiza na bei, walishukisha bei ya mahindi kuchukua. Sasa inamaanisha bado tutaumia zaidi. Na hii inaenda kutuumiza hata na mambo ya mbolea, kwa sababu mbolea itahitaji kusafirishwa ili ifike hapa kwetu kwa wakulima.
Abraham Muthogo, an analyst, says this will increase plowing and planting costs.
If you look at it item by item, if you look at diesel, for example, most tractors use diesel. So for that means that it's going to cost more in terms of tilling their land and planting and everything. So that will impact, of course, the end price of their cost and probably eat into their margin. Now, what that means is that they will have less disposable income.
The high expenses of farming this year will delay some farmers from cultivating their lands, and this might cause a ripple effect on food prices later in the year. Reporting for Switch Business, my name is Joan Kutun.
It's a pain indeed. Now, elsewhere, government spokesman Cyrus Oguna has reiterated the government's commitment to eradicate locust invasion currently ravaging various parts of the eastern counties of Meru, Isiolo, Tharaka Nithi and Embu. Speaking at a press briefing in Isiolo, Oguna said that the government will be looking to expedite the swamps in a contingent effort from different organs and stakeholders starting this particular day.
And the invasion of locusts certainly undermines the accomplishment, the achievement of that food security pillar, and therefore as a government will deploy every effort to ensure that we are able to contain the locust invasion that threatens the food security. That as a government will spare no effort to ensure that the locusts that have invaded this country in this second phase are eliminated once and for all.
We have all the strategies this time around, much prepared than last year when it was invading us for the first time after 70 years. But this time around, I think we had the equipment on the ground, we had our coordination well taken care of, and so we are getting ready to roll. This is just what I wanted to highlight this afternoon.
Let's head to Baringo, where residents are, or rather will have to wait longer to get clean water. This is after a multi-billion dam project continues to delay owing to COVID-19 and infrastructural challenges. Speaking while touring Chemosusu Dam in Eldama Ravine, water PS Joseph Irungu say the completion of the dam was long overdue, but COVID-19, which broke out last year, affected the completion of the dam. On the other hand, Kirandichi Phase 2 have stalled for 2 years since it started. Government saying the contractor withdrew from the site, pushing for people, or rather the constructor withdrew from the site, urging people, or rather saying that it was overdue due to time.
Kenyans having access to water. That is really a great achievement this government has made. And we have confirmed, or it has been confirmed to us, that the 7% that is remaining, we have been given a deadline of 30th or end of March, whereby this project now will already have been completed. There has been some little delay, the delay having been occasioned by the fact that we were not able to receive some of the supplies that is required due to the challenges of COVID.
We cannot get the fittings because even the manufacturers of the fittings, the main manufacturers, and they rely on importing, have also had some little challenges getting those fittings here.
Now, the International Monetary Fund and Kenya have agreed on a 3-year $262.5 billion loan to assist Kenya in its response to the COVID-19 pandemic and to put strong effort to reduce the country's debt levels relative to GDP. Kenya's economy is slowly recovering from the adverse effects of the COVID-19 pandemic on businesses and households. The IMF program will provide support to the vulnerable Kenyans and boost the government's effort to revive the economy. And finally, Nigeria's Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala was yesterday appointed as the first female and first African head of the beleaguered World Trade Organization, saying a stronger WTO would be vital for the global coronavirus recovery. The global trade body called a virtual special general council meeting at which member states officially selected the former Nigerian finance minister and World Bank veteran as its new director general.
I'm deeply honored and I'm humbled by the support I've received from WTO members. I will say that it's both exciting and daunting at the same time to be here because I take the reins of the WTO at a time of great uncertainty and challenge. We have our priorities, the need to modernize our rules. We need to look at what the WTO can contribute to solve the present situation of the pandemic. We need to look at our procedures, and parts of the institution. So much needs to be done. That is why I talk about deep and wide-ranging reforms. But of course, it will not be easy. When we look at the membership of the WTO, we must be mindful that whatever we do will benefit all members. Not just big members or middle-sized ones, but also small ones and small island economies. I think this is very important.
And that's all we had for you from the business world. Let's do this tomorrow, same time, same place. Do have a good night. It's Champions League night and all the latest sporting activities. Lincoln has the latest.
Thank you, Clifford. From the sports desk, it was all a draw affair as the African Under-20 Championships entered its second day in Mauritania. Namibia found the net lead to salvage a 1-1 draw against Central African Republic. Namibia found the net lead to salvage a 1-1 draw against the Central African Republic. Take a look. Moving on, the UEFA Champions League returns tonight with the competition entering the last 16 knockout stage, and 2 games are on card tonight. All eyes will be in Camp Nou as last year finalist Paris Saint-Germain travelled to Spain to face informed Barcelona. PSG will be without 2 of their key players, Neymar Jr. and Angel Di Maria, who are injured, and the scoring burden will fall on the shoulders of Kylian Mbappe, while Barcelona hope Gerard Piqué will be available for selection to lead Barcelona's backline in the second tie to be staged in Hungary due to COVID restrictions. German side RB Leipzig face injury-plagued Liverpool. Well, that sports story wraps up our news broadcast tonight. Many thanks for watching. I am Lincoln Ombogo. Our sign language interpreter is Tracy Dorcas. Good evening.